Welcome back to Road to Destruction, the Great Wars. In our last video, we explored the fall of Otto von Bismarck and how his dismissal by Kaiser Wilhelm II marked the beginning of a dangerous new era for Germany. Bismarck had built an empire through careful diplomacy, ensuring that Germany remained at the center of a complex but stable web of alliances. However, with the Iron Chancellor gone, that delicate balance was about to collapse. One of Wilhelm's first major blunders was allowing the Reinsurance Treaty between Germany and Russia to lapse. It was a decision that would have far-reaching consequences, pushing Russia into the arms of Germany's longtime enemy, France, and setting the stage for the alliances that would define World War I. So how did this happen? Why did Wilhelm II abandon a treaty that had kept Germany secure? And how did this single mistake push Europe closer to global conflict? Let's dive into the story. To understand why the end of the Reinsurance Treaty was so devastating, we first need to look at what the treaty actually was and why Bismarck had created it in the first place. After unifying Germany in 1871, Bismarck knew that his new empire was surrounded by potential enemies. France, still humiliated from its defeat in the Franco-Prussian War, was eager for revenge. Austria, Hungary and Russia, Germany's eastern neighbors, had their own ambitions in the Balkans. If Germany wasn't careful, it could end up fighting on two fronts, a nightmare scenario that could spell disaster for the young empire. Bismarck's solution was to keep Russia close while isolating France. He first created the Three Emperors League in 1873, an alliance between Germany, Austria, Hungary and Russia. But tensions between Austria and Russia over the Balkans made the alliance unstable. In 1879, Bismarck took a decisive step. He signed the dual alliance with Austria-Hungary, a military pact that promised mutual defense if either power was attacked by Russia. This angered the Russian Tsar, but Bismarck was prepared. To prevent Russia from becoming a threat, he secretly negotiated the Reinsurance Treaty in 1887. This treaty ensured that Germany and Russia would remain neutral if either was attacked by a third party, unless Germany attacked France or Russia attacked Austria. Essentially, it reassured Russia that Germany wasn't siding completely with Austria, keeping Russia from seeking alliances elsewhere. It was a delicate but brilliant balance. Germany had a firm alliance with Austria, but the Reinsurance Treaty kept Russia from turning hostile. Meanwhile, France remained isolated and alone, unable to challenge Germany without allies. It was a masterpiece of diplomacy, and for as long as Bismarck was in power, it worked. Everything changed in 1890, when Kaiser Wilhelm II dismissed Bismarck. Wilhelm was young, ambitious, and arrogant. He saw himself as a bold leader who would make Germany a global superpower, not just a European one. He despised Bismarck's cautious diplomacy, seeing it as overly complicated and unnecessary. One of Wilhelm's first major foreign policy decisions was to let the Reinsurance Treaty expire. There were several reasons behind Germany's decision not to renew the Reinsurance Treaty with Russia. One of the most significant was Wilhelm II's deep distrust of Russia. Unlike Bismarck, who had valued pragmatic diplomacy, Wilhelm admired Britain and envisioned Germany as a natural partner of the British Empire. He believed that Germany's future lay in strengthening its ties with Britain rather than maintaining secret agreements with Russia. In his view, the Russian Tsar was unpredictable and unreliable, making a continued alliance with Russia unnecessary and even undesirable. Another key factor was the influence of Germany's new Chancellor, Leo von Caprivi. After Bismarck's dismissal, Wilhelm appointed Caprivi, a military general with little diplomatic experience, to lead Germany's government. Unlike his predecessor, Caprivi did not see the need for Germany to maintain a complex web of alliances. He wanted to simplify Germany's foreign commitments and believed that the Reinsurance Treaty directly conflicted with Germany's alliance with Austria-Hungary. Caprivi feared that by maintaining the treaty with Russia, Germany would send mixed signals to Austria, its closest ally. As a result, he chose to let the treaty lapse rather than risk straining Germany's relationship with Vienna. However, the most devastating factor was a critical miscalculation by Wilhelm and Caprivi. They wrongly assumed that Russia had no alternative but to maintain friendly ties with Germany, even without a formal agreement. They believed that Russia's deep political and ideological differences with France would prevent the two from forming an alliance. Confident that Russia had nowhere else to turn, they saw no real danger in abandoning the treaty. But this proved to be a disastrous mistake. When Germany failed to renew the agreement, Russia felt betrayed and exposed, no longer having any guarantees of German neutrality. Fearing a potential threat from Austria-Hungary and Germany, Russia sought security elsewhere, and the only major power willing to provide that support was France. The collapse of the Reinsurance Treaty was one of Wilhelm II's greatest mistakes. In just a few years, he had undone decades of careful diplomacy. Bismarck had kept Germany safe by ensuring that France remained isolated and that Russia remained friendly. Wilhelm's reckless decisions destroyed that balance, leaving Germany surrounded by enemies. Now, with the Franco-Russian alliance in place, Germany was trapped. If war broke out, it would have to fight on two fronts, against Russia in the east and France in the west. And as we'll see in our next video, this growing isolation would soon lead to an even more dangerous development, the formation of the Triple Entente between Britain, France and Russia. How did Britain go from a traditional enemy of France to its closest ally? And how did Wilhelm's reckless diplomacy drive Britain into the arms of Germany's enemies? Find out in our next episode, The Franco-Russian Alliance, 1894, how Germany's enemies grew stronger. If you're enjoying this series, hit like, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode of Road to Destruction, The Great Wars.